Hello, everybody.
Hi.
Welcome to the Adobe Fonts Show, episode 27, I believe. So, welcome. Good to see you, Ari.
Welcome. Good to see you too, Ben. Happy Wednesday.
Indeed. Indeed. Yeah, hump day. I guess that's like our purview now. That's what we do. We help people get through the middle of the week. We give people something to look forward to, and then we give them a little inspiration, and that can ride them through Friday. So, I think that's an important
Yeah,
role. I
as
hope
long as you get over today, you're good.
exactly. And I hope we can help in some small way. So,
Yes. And we have a few people already here. Cody's moderating the chat. Thanks, Cody. If you're on YouTube and you're watching us, make sure you go over to Behance so that we can see you in the chat and you can say hello. We have Ernie in San Jose, Carol, Barbara. Barbara is saying, hey, with a Chicago accent. Where is everyone else from? Let us know. I'm located in Oakland, California, and Ben is in
Brooklyn.
Brooklyn.
Yeah.
Let's
So,
see if we have anyone who is really far in time zone. Is there anyone watching us from nighttime?
yeah, it is bright and early for you, Ari. It's closer to noon
Yes.
for me. At midday, I guess.
Bright and early for me, 8 a.m.
Trooper.
All right. Well, as people start saying hi, I can introduce myself. I'm Ari, the library manager for Adobe Fonts, and my team works with all the Foundry partners that design the fonts that are included in your Creative Cloud subscription. And we currently have over 150 partners and consistently add fonts to expand our library.
Awesome. I'm Ben. I'm a content producer at Adobe Fonts. I started out in support, answering many questions about our service and type in general. And now I make the Adobe Fonts show and also related video content and whatnot, and try to help you get the most out of type when it comes to Creative Cloud. If you have any ideas about episodes or things you'd like to see from the stream, follow us on Behance at Adobe Fonts, and you can message me there. I check that regularly. So let us know if you have any ideas for future episodes. And for those of you new to Adobe Fonts is a very large library of fonts that comes with your Creative Cloud subscription, over 20,000 fonts that you can use for both commercial and personal projects. So yeah, it's a lot to wrap your head around. I mean, that's more fonts than I can even imagine in my head. So if you need somewhere to start, the recommendations feature on our site is a great place to start. And it's fonts.adobe.com/recommendations. So check that out. And yeah, that'll give you a way to kind of get your feet wet for the first time. So yeah, let us know what you think.
And here on the Adobe Fonts show, we talk all things fonts and have great workshops with professionals in the type world. If you like the show, subscribe to Creative Cloud on YouTube and follow Adobe Fonts on Behance to be updated on all future episodes.
And I see we have
Um,
someone from Mongolia. That's amazing. And then
yes.
so cool. Thank you for
And
joining.
Tony from Nairobi, Kenya.
Wow, I've actually been to Nairobi myself.
Really?
Yes, that's not that's no joke. I've done that. So yeah, I had an
Cool.
amazing time there. Um, well, oh, before we get started, I wanted to mention that we are doing some kind of user research. So we're just doing a little bit of checking in with our users to improve the product. And if that's something you're interested in, Cody is going to post a link to a form where you can sign up for that. And it's basically, if any of you have used Adobe Fonts recently or within the last year and you want to provide some user feedback, it's a small user research project. So that would be fantastic for you to sign up. And I'll mention it again at the end of the episode as well. But yeah, that's a good way for you to give us feedback about Adobe Fonts and help us make sure that we're doing what you need. So definitely check it out if you're interested.
Yeah, and Cody posted the link in the chat.
Well, thank you,
So
Cody.
you can click on that.
And then related to today's topic, we have a quick poll, kind of a poll, more of just a prompt, but And it's just name a logo that means something to you, something that has gone beyond just being a symbol in the world and has maybe holds a little bit more, sentimental value, or just something that has gone beyond just being a brand out there and is just something you like. And my example was a Fender Stratocaster, because that's what I learned. That's what I learned guitar on. So for me, the Fender logo just holds a special place in my heart. Um, Ari, do you have one that stands out?
I a really random one comes to mind. I can't think of something very profound, but when I was young, I used to watch the channel Nickelodeon,
Mm,
and it had a very bright orange logo
yep.
that always made me really excited if I saw it.
Same
So
here. That's a good one. I don't know why that's not a profound one. That
I guess it
Nickelodeon logo impacted a lot of people. And actually, I learned just this week that that's what you would call a dynamic logo, because you remember how it would animate, and sometimes it would be a splotch, and sometimes it would be a little rocket ship, and sometimes it would be a submarine, but it was always orange and it
yeah.
always had that bubbly letters. That was like the key tie-in. But they call that a
Yeah, and
dynamic
I
logo.
think they changed it since we were the target customers of Nickelodeon.
They're not
And
allowed to
it's
do
not
that.
like the slimy thing anymore.
Everything's supposed to
Um,
stay the same. Haven't they learned? Like, you can't change it. No.
I know. But for those of you who aren't familiar, it's a kids channel that has cartoons and kids shows, game shows and stuff. So it was a
Rugrats,
very playful
great. Uh,
channel.
Rugrats had a great theme song.
Yes.
I believe written by Danny Elfman, the music composer, who also did the Simpsons theme song. So
Oh,
pretty cool stuff.
wow.
Um,
We I'm waiting for people to say the logos that mean something to them.
Me too. Oh, Hawaiian Punch, good one. Stands out in my mind. I mean, I was more of a Capri Sun kid myself, but I still remember the Hawaiian Punch logo. How could I not? So,
Oh, I can't visualize it. I'll have to look it up.
yeah, let us know if
And we
there's any,
have,
and feel free to write a little bit about why that logo matters to you if you want. No pressure, but you know, it's a good one.
yes.
Another one that stands out for me is Sony, because this is the same model Walkman I had when I was 7 years old. Now, it's not the same exact one, but it's the same model of it. So yeah,
Wow.
Sony, definitely a childhood nostalgic logo for me.
Cody says the old Mighty Ducks logo. Go
Ah,
Ducks.
Go Ducks! Great movie, great movie.
Allison says Coca-Cola. That's a classic.
Classic drink,
One
classic
of the
logo.
most iconic things in the world. NBC Peacock, PJ says. That's what
Mm-hmm.
I remember when I was young.
Yep.
UA says Nabisco. Yes, lots of cookies and treats with the Nabisco logo.
Oh, so many Oreos. Probably my favorite Nabisco product, if I'm being honest.
Yeah. And
That is
I
Nabisco, right?
think so, yeah.
Okay.
And when we think about these logos and what they mean to us, it's kind of a useful exercise to think about what style they were in.
Yep.
Do they look friendly? Do they look elegant? Or what do they convey? And how do they do that? Is it through the type? Is it through the icons they used? General Kenobi says the Beatles on Ringo's drum. Is that a
Absolutely.
logo?
Oh,
Yeah.
definitely. The Beatles is definitely a logo, and that being on Ringo's kick drum is such an iconic image. Um, like, I can just picture it in my head. So yeah, I definitely think that counts as a logo.
Yeah. Lego, FedEx, definitely iconic with the arrow in it.
Well, Carol said Blockbuster, also a meaningful one to me. Oh, the many Friday nights spent at Blockbuster looking for something to rent. Renting
Mm-hmm.
movies. Wow, that's not something I've thought about in a while.
Yeah, the excitement when you see the Blockbuster
And the new
and your
releases
parents
section.
say,
Yeah.
you can go today, we can get whatever you want.
And that
Oh,
logo originally was a VHS tape, which then was outdated as when DVDs came out, but they didn't update it. And then, of course, before they could, bye
they
bye
were gone.
Blockbuster. Blockbuster.
Metallica, that's a
Oh,
great one.
such a good one.
Generally, band logos, and if you look at heavy metal band logos and how
A lot of black
wild
type.
they are,
Yeah.
those
I
are fun.
I learned that basically there was I don't know his name, but there's a graphic designer who did the AC/DC logo with the black letter and then made it look chrome
Hmm.
and kind of like it was metal, and that because the genre was called metal and that logo looked metal, that kind of black letter chrome thing became a kind of an iconic way to do the metal look, which is funny that just you can be someone working on a project and just be like, "Oh, this looks cool," and the band goes, "Yeah, that does look cool," and then it becomes, a trope.
Yeah.
Eventually, it becomes a cliche.
Yeah. In the chat, let us know if you know who that designer, what their name is.
Yeah, AC/DC, and I think they did Blue Oyster Cult also. So I might have even done Metallica for all I know. I don't know, but I know the AC/DC one for sure. Yeah, a lot of car ones, and those are great. Audi, Ferrari, Lamborghini, Levi's is also a great one from Michelle. Nike, of course. I mean, so iconic.
Yeah.
Well, good. I think we're all in the right frame of mind to get into today's topic, which is choosing fonts for logo design. And I'm just going to do a really brief, quick run through of a couple ideas around logos that might just be interesting and prompt some thoughts in different directions. So, first we have the definition of a logo. So, it comes from the ancient Greek logos and typos, which meant word speech and mark imprint combined together, which
And
makes
still means,
still
still has the
means
same meaning.
still means those
Yeah.
words still mean that. Which is really interesting because now we just say logo, we don't say logotype, and so really we're logo just means word or speech by itself. But that's kind of become the umbrella term for logotype. So it is a graphic mark, emblem, or symbol used to aid or promote public identification and recognition. And it may be of an abstract or figurative design, or include text of the name of what it represents, as in a word mark. So I'm going to get into a couple examples of that a little later so we can kind of pick that apart. But I do find it interesting that the word really is logotype, and we just say logo, but really when we say logotype, it means mean the exact same thing. So I found that exciting. All right. You can't think about logo symbols and not think about hieroglyphics, I think. And I wanted to just point out that human beings have been using symbol drawings and symbols of things as ways to communicate for a very, very, very long time, thousands of years. And I wouldn't call hieroglyphics necessarily logos because it's a writing system that's describing general communication, right? So you're telling a story here and not necessarily talking about a specific organization or a specific, you know, um, specific person. Now, maybe there are hieroglyphics that are about specific pharaohs or specific kingdoms or things like that, right? And in that case, you could kind of start to say, oh, that's kind of like a logo because we've used it to represent only one specific person or one specific town or area or thing like that. So maybe the Egyptian symbol for the Nile River we could call a logo because it's kind of representing that across spaces and not the general thing. Um, and then, of course, when I think of hieroglyphics, I think of emoji because emoji feel very much like modern day hieroglyphics. And the amount that they have been used in our culture and adopted so quickly, I think has a lot to do with the fact that we don't all speak the same word-based languages. But emoji are kind of a universal language, and it's cool how quickly that they've been adopted. But you can also see here that this is not really a logo, though I guess you could use an emoji in a logo. And I think there are logos that have taken inspiration from emoji, right? For sure.
Hmm.
Because emoji has almost become a cartoonish style of drawing or representing something. And so you might see, a salad bar, sign, and you might see the name of the restaurant, if it's a salad restaurant, has a little salad icon that kind of looks like the salad emoji. So definitely similar there, but I definitely would call emoji also a writing system and not logos for that reason. And then very early on, with kind of the idea of logos taking more of the form of what they mean today, is heraldry. and family crests. And I learned that the reason family crests got invented or created was because knights from battling noble families couldn't tell each other apart with all the armor that was on, right? They had the full face armor and the whole thing, and so they couldn't tell what who they were who they were battling. So they had to distinguish, and so the way they did that at first was to put it on the shield, and that's why heraldry has this shape, even though these aren't shields anymore. It's a
Oh,
representation of a
yeah.
shield because that was the first way we knew who was on our team and who wasn't. But then also, so that was to solve a very specific and somewhat gruesome problem. However, it then became to me, things in chivalry and the idea of a knight meant something beyond just being in battle, and the idea of a noble family meant something beyond just being in battle. And so these symbols ended up representing what the family stood for, what that town stood for, what that area, all of these things. The knights might have a particular code that they stand by, and that symbol would then represent that code, not just help them not hurt each other in battle. So I thought that was super interesting. But you can see that here we're really taking on ideas that are abstract from the symbols themselves, right? These shields don't represent goose, or star. They represent the name of a family, something more abstract than that. So, and
Yeah.
now we're going to see a couple versions, couple styles of logos, I guess. So this would be like an image brand mark, and obviously these are very iconic. And the Beats logo I love because it's a bee, but it also looks like headphones
Yeah,
on
I
your
love
ear.
those
So clever.
that can be ambiguous.
Yeah, so good. And of course, Apple and Shell, we know those. And then, like I mentioned before, Sony, and someone mentioned FedEx with the arrow in in the chat, and the mobile. Like, these are very simple, all text, but each of them in their own right has something very iconic about them. Like the Sony logo for me is a slab serif. It's just a slab serif, but it's been around so long. I think this is another thing that's too important to keep in mind. Same with band names, but when you create a logo, you don't know, it's going to end up meaning what your company means and what your products mean to people. And so it's not just coming up with a logo that represents what, like when you're starting, but kind of thinking about what people might attach to it later in a few years' time. I heard a really interesting anecdote from a logo designer, a very successful one, talking about how oftentimes when we see a logo at first, we won't like it that much. And then over time, the things that we didn't like about it, we'll end up liking. And so sometimes it's hard to convince a client to use a particular logo that has something quirky about it or simple about it because they want something flashy, but it actually is the less flashy, less noticeable things over time that stand the test of time sometimes. And the mobile, I mean, of course, that red O is just so iconic. And then we have this kind of monogram, duogram. Obviously, these are double letters, but same
I've
ideas.
never heard of duogram.
I made that up for this, so
Oh,
that
okay.
was just me, because there was two letters instead of one, so I just said that.
Yes,
Um,
makes sense.
yeah, I'm clever like that. Um, but again, great examples of something somewhat abstract that ends up just becoming iconic. The 3M is and Volkswagen and HP also, but Volkswagen for me is just so iconic. And you don't even have to notice that it's a VW for you to know what that means. That symbol,
Yeah.
you could totally miss that, and uh, it would still represent Volkswagen. Um, and then these are kind of the combined, right? We have the logo mark, a little icon drawing, and then we have the word mark as well. And I think the useful thing about these is that you can separate them and use them, individually. So like on a Lacoste polo, you can have the little alligator, and then that's becomes so iconic. And on a Converse shoe, you don't have to have Converse, you can just have the star, and people know what it is. And
Yeah.
same with the Microsoft Windows thing, you know what that is. And then I just had to show the OG Converse All Star logo because I love it so much. And that's also to me really iconic. Another slab serif, and I don't think we see enough slab serifs and logos these days. So I think check out some of those slab serifs if you're making a logo soon. Um, so I think that's it for me. I hope some of that was useful or at least fun to look at and inspiring. Um,
Yeah.
but you can see that logos really, gosh, the ones that stand the test of time really take on a life of their own. And and go far beyond the initial intent of the designer. And so I think it's important to keep that in mind, that just the designer's intent doesn't always end up being what is only one part of what a logo becomes when it's out there in the wild. So,
For sure.
let's
And we had a lot of people in the chat talk about other examples. Oh, by the way, Megan told us that Gerard Huerta was the designer of the AC/DC logo.
Cool.
Just for the record.
Thank you.
We also had some other suggestions like the Staples logo that has a paper clip in it, but I guess apparently they changed it now, Cody said.
No good.
And the Adidas logo, which does have the word mark, and also the 3 stripes, which have been remixed in so many ways.
I know. I'm a tracksuit fan, and the 3 stripes there are as iconic as the shoes, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So besides all of this, what about the type that's used besides the icons, and how can we think about that as part of the whole? And looking at some of these, looking at the fonts that they used, what does that really convey, I think is important. So that's what we're going to talk about today.
So let's dive in.
So I'm in Creative Cloud Express, and I wanted to start here by just showing you some quick ways to come up with ideas for a logo, because Creative Cloud Express does have a logo option. So if I create a new project and click on the logo section, I get into this space where it suggests logo templates for me. And I can search for something specific or look through the options here: music, restaurants, fashion, just general. But Ben and I were thinking, let's do a coffee shop, because it can take on a lot of different kinds of looks. So I'm just going to search coffee and see what CCX has available. Let's see. So, of course, we need to have an idea when we're designing a logo of what our business is going to be, what kind of vibe we want to convey. Is it going to be just a neighborhood cafe that is kind of casual? Is it going to be more eclectic, where the beans are very fancy and it's expensive? So of course we need to have that. But since we are not designing a real coffee shop logo, we can just go through and see what each of these conveys and decide what we think, what kind of coffee shop we think each one is, and maybe settle on one that we like. And then take that and change the fonts and see, like, does this make it more elegant? Does this make it more casual? So we can work with you guys in the chat. Let us know what you think, and it's kind of free form today.
Do we have a name for our coffee shop?
Yes. Element Coffee Roasters.
Element Coffee Roasters. I like it.
Yes.
It's earthy, but also could be down to earthy, or that could be elegant. We don't know yet. I think it's going to be the logo that determines really what the vibe is.
Norsh said, did anyone talk about the Creative Cloud logo? That's also very iconic.
I would have to agree. I mean, I can't tell. I think I'm a little biased because I see it so often, but so it's hard to tell, but I think I agree. I think and the fact that there's a CC flipped around and it makes a cloud, very clever.
Oh my gosh, I didn't even notice there were 2 C's in the logo.
Yeah. It's like magic.
Something I just realized. Okay. Did anyone else just realize that, or is it just me?
Welcome to the Adobe Fonts show. This is the kind of stuff that we get you. It's good stuff.
So I'm just going through and looking at different ones just to see, what do we have available? What kind of vibes are coming through? I was thinking that the logo for Element Coffee would be just kind of simple of the letter E with information around it. So this looks more like what I was originally envisioning. And we can say for this logo that Element Coffee is a neighborhood coffee shop, but it's trying to be a little trendy. So let's keep that in mind and look at this for a couple minutes. So one thing that we can do here is obviously we can customize using whatever words we want, whatever fonts we want. And here this pop-up comes up because font recommendations in Creative Cloud Express is a new feature. And it's really cool. I'm going to say okay because I read that. What it does is use the same look as the letter you have on your canvas and then suggest other fonts that you could use just to give you some more alternatives. And you can also explore more. And then if you like a certain one, you can hover over and it'll have an icon like this, the wavy gravy icon as we've coined it before.
The wavy gravy.
So I think it's the same one as in the desktop apps, and we've shown it to you before. And if you click on it, it'll show you other ones that are similar. But first of all, I want to change this to be an E so that I can see.
Oh, good call.
Yes, I almost forgot. And then I'm going to just kind of have that update. Okay, so it's updating to ease using this same treatment. And I'm going to explore more.
And you can tell just so many of these, like some of these are clearly fun, like that one.
I really like this one. Let's
And
see if there's more that are similar.
Yeah.
Ooh.
But it's totally different than like a really clean sans serif or a scripty. You know, the scripty thing looks like, oh, look, this is a sophisticated coffee shop, you know? And then this looks like, hey, we're going to party. We're just chilling.
Increase the size a little bit. Whoops, that's not what I want to touch. I want to touch this.
Ooh, I like that layer pop out.
I actually, I don't like this texture stuff right now because it's distracting me. I'm just going to delete those layers. And then I'm also just going to remove that background color. So I can be a little more focused. And then because I found this font in my recommendations, then I'm looking here. What is this? Manicotti Regular. Okay, what if I change this grind thing to Manicotti to match the letter in the middle? Let's let that load. Ooh, that's kind of cool. At that point, because it's so small, you can't even really read it, but it looks like some decoration. It's kind of cool.
Also, this is kind of looking like a small cup or like a teacup with a saucer around it from the top, from above.
Yeah.
Just kind of. It's giving me that impression.
Cool.
Like we're looking down on the cup of coffee from above.
Yeah. Okay, I'm going to try something else now. That was just to show how you can use CCX, and it helps you get ideas, I think, which is cool. Let's see if there's something.
Definitely gives you a good jumping off point, and because of the font recommendations, I think something that's very obvious just from what you just did is that changing the fonts completely changed the vibe of that template. And if you don't want your template to look like everyone else's, using a font that's totally different from the template is a very quick way to customize it and make it more to the, the vibe that you're going for.
Yes, for sure. I'm just gonna type in element here. So now we have a completely different look, more romantic.
Yeah, this feels like something you might do specifically at certain times of the year. Like there's a version of this logo without the heart. Maybe it's just a panda face, and then there's the version with the heart that you do at certain times of the year. I don't know. Just a thought,
Oh, yeah.
you know.
Well, one thing you can do here is I'm just going to move these out and let us know if you have any suggestions. Oh, Nick said that grind lettering looked like Hebrew at first glance. It did have a very abstract look
It
at
did,
that
yeah.
size. I'm just going to go in here and I can try using a completely different icon. So let's say coffee bean. I think that would be less of like this kind of heart thing is very specific.
Yeah. It
And
doesn't feel as broad. It doesn't feel broad enough.
yeah, so what if we just used, oh my gosh, there are a ton of these. What if we just use a coffee bean? But how do we choose which coffee bean to use? How do we know which one works?
I feel like we need tags for coffee beans now, not just for fonts. We need fun coffee
Oh
beans,
my
elegant coffee
gosh. I'm
beans,
just going to do this.
rounded coffee beans.
So I'll get rid of this person. Why did I say person? This icon. Okay. I was going to say this guy, and then I was like, I'll say person, but neither of those things describes an icon. Okay. So now I have this. This, since we're using this new icon, it doesn't really make sense to have the letters rotated the way they were. I don't know why they were rotated like that. I'm just going to make it straight. So I'm changing this completely pretty much, but I think it's still really useful to start out with a template because when you're doing things with a completely blank slate, it's kind of daunting. So then again, we get our font recommendations. And the part I really like about this is that when they're recommending these fonts, it's in the same style as what you were working on. So it's really easy to visualize.
Mm.
Even though it's small, you can just easily click on it and it'll change. But it's really easy to visualize
You get a sense of it.
what it would look like
Yeah.
because it's in the same color, it's in the same orientation, and you can just go through really quickly and make decisions. So let me know if you have a preference for any of these.
I kind of like that one.
This one,
Yeah.
yeah. Let me
Maybe
just change the bottom one too and
I'm
see.
I'm also curious if what the wavy gravy will do with this.
Oh, should I do that?
Yeah, let's wavy gravy this one.
Okay, let's see. Or, oh, I think they changed already.
Oh wait, I think I saw it up there. Is that going more? Is that it?
This one is not the same, but maybe if
Close
I
enough.
wavy gravy it, it'll come up with the
And
same.
close enough. I mean,
It's very close.
ooh.
Yeah, it did come up with it.
But I like the down at the bottom there, the like slightly more slab serify, but still condensed.
This one?
Yeah. Oh, not larger. I like the other one better. But
Oh yeah,
this is
you
why
liked it.
this is why you got to experiment.
Yeah. Yeah, so what is this conveying to you? This kind of typeface of like very condensed, thin.
Well, I feel like thin condensed feels very approachable to me or very friendly for some reason.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know.
I think the first thing I'm seeing is that the icon does not match with this.
It's too.
And also, Creative Minds Factory says the icon's too tall. Yes, the icon is huge. So
I was also
let's.
thinking if you rotate it,
Yes, we
90
could try
degrees,
rotating it as
then it will
well.
fit the curve of those letters more.
That's a great idea.
And now it
I
kind of
think we
looks
should
like,
change it out if we're going to use these fonts, but for now we're still experimenting with the fonts. So
yeah.
let's see.
I
Do
also
we
feel
have
like
any?
you could play off this coffee bean as kind of a landscape in this scenario.
Ooh.
You could like really make it look like a coffee bean, but then have a sun rising over the water kind of vibe going on in there.
Oh, wow. That's a cool idea.
Oh yeah.
So I saw that the font that I set element in is Westgate. So I'm just going to use that for the coffee roasters part. And now maybe, so let us know in the chat. Oh, Chelsea said that's better. Thank you.
Oh, and
Anne is
everyone
saying,
agrees that the icon is too bold,
yes. So let's find a
strokes are
different icon that
too
will
thick.
look better. So I'm going to go to shapes again. So we're back to our coffee beans. Any other suggestions? I think someone suggested a different kind of icon. Like someone said steam. Oh, for one of them said that steam, it looks like steam rising from coffee. Megan says now it looks like a do not sign, you know, like the circle with the line through it,
Oh yeah.
which is kind of interesting.
Also coffee sunrise, which I
Coffee
agree.
sunrise is a great idea. What about this thing? This bean.
Because that bean's so bulbous that there's no strokes.
A bulbous bean. Okay, let's see. Which ones go with this font? And it doesn't have to be a bean. Let me know in the chat if you have other suggestions of icons that we can use.
Sylvia said 3 small beans might look good. And then Mike recommended coffee steam as a possible.
3 small beans sitting in the tree. That could work. I don't know. Okay.
Well, I think with the curved letters on the top and bottom, I really want to see something round right in the middle. That's obviously round at a similar.
Yeah, let's see if we just search coffee and we get coffee cups. Something like this. Again, thick. What about this? That's better. I feel like the steam that's coming off kind of reminds me of the way these letters look.
Oh,
and
I can see that.
Thickness is,
yeah, like the S of the letter
similar.
On coffee roasters looks similar. I wonder if you could just replace those steam lines with the S's from coffee roasters.
That's a great idea.
That's what I'm here for.
Yeah, I think I'm going to abandon these beans.
Abandon away, I say.
Abandon the beans. Okay,
Megan says Central Perk. You saw that too, yeah.
This looks like Central Perk. It does, but it's Element.
Yeah, this is Element, okay? This is Central Perk for the 21st century.
And then I think there were, Paula, I think there were beans with thinner lines, but I think they just didn't do it for me. This one maybe.
Those look like pastries more than beans to me, the first one.
Whoa, I did so many because I clicked it so many times. I like triple clicking. That's my flaw.
That's your go-to.
So yeah, they are thinner, but I just didn't think that we had any that were totally right, especially because we only have like 1 minute to do this. But okay, we came up with this idea. I think if I spent a little more time in here, these tools really help me to get a lot of alternatives and just remix the same thing a bunch of times and see what works for my concept, which
Yeah.
in this case was like a coffee shop that's trying to be a little trendy, not too fancy, in a neighborhood. And
And not too corporate. It's not, I think if we were going corporate, we would
yeah,
use a big blocky geometric sans serif, like some people we might know.
yeah.
Um,
So I'm just going to download this and it's going to be an image. So I'll do transparent and then I'll have that so that I can just put it in Illustrator and recreate this so that I can get a vector and then have an SVG that's more versatile.
and I think too, you
Um,
could do this like 4 or 5 times and come up with 4 or 5 ideas.
totally.
Send those to a client to get approval on which direction you want to go in, or just, you know, pick them and try them out and mess around. Because so much of this is experimentation and trying things out. It's so hard to, at
Yes.
least for me, it's hard for me to visualize exactly how something's going to look until I can see it. So
Yeah. And Penny says, if anything, you have a jumping off point to show a client before you dive into making the logo, which is so true. It's helpful to have just something that you can maybe mock up like 10 different things. Because I do this when I design logos for people. I send them this big sheet with so many different options just so I can get a sense from them. And this is a great way to do that. It's really fast. So
Bar-
in Illustrator, I just had these like other options to start working from. Go ahead, Ben.
I was just saying, Barbara recommended 3 steam S's instead of 2, which I highly agree with. We probably want to avoid the 2
Oh,
um, in
that's a
in
good idea.
in all contexts.
So let's say we are coming up with a few different options. I was thinking kind of how we started with that other template, that maybe we would have one that has an E in the middle. So maybe we can just work on this one of, again, we're not trying to be too fancy, but we're trying to have something trendy. In this case, I felt like this logo, obviously I haven't done anything. This is Myriad. I just used the default font so that we could start with a blank slate. But this is like, maybe it's in an internet cafe or something, or like an airport. It's not very warm.
Yeah, this
But
feels very airport
what could
kiosk to
we
me.
do with this E to make it a little more friendly? I think E's are one of the most friendly letters in the whole alphabet.
Ooh,
Oh,
that
could
one.
we make it this? This is very trendy. I think it's too much, but what does everyone else think?
This is a punk rock skater coffee shop.
I'm going to go to the Find More tab just so I can browse the whole entire Adobe Fonts library and look at every single font family we have. I want something that's lowercase just to make it more approachable and friendly because it always looks like it's kind of smiling. And oh, that's cute. But this is what I would do. I would go through using this Find More tab. And you know what? I'm going to filter to a little bit heavier because I don't want too many thin E's. I want something a little meatier. Look how cute that is. It's totally smiling at us.
That's very smiley.
Is it too smiley?
Who can tell? Ask that Nova. Always a good one.
Look at this.
It's very Pac-Man. Also, I'm still feeling sunset
I
vibes
love
from that one.
this. From the E?
Yeah.
Let's see if we use the same font for everything. This is Arbotech Ultra.
It's gonna look
Like, what would happen?
like party time.
Whoa. Party time.
I think that
Yeah, this is not
the
gonna work.
contrast in the middle of the E's and the F's is too thin at that size. But
What E's and F's? Oh, in coffee roasters.
on the capitals.
You know what's funny is that this S is similar to the S from the other font that we used,
Mm-hmm.
because it's like the Art Deco S,
Totally.
but in a much more heavy version. So in this case, I would just see like, what else could I use if I really like this E that would complement it, but would be readable at that size? I would think probably a sans, not too heavy, maybe like a regular weight. And then I would go through, that could work. Rounded is too friendly, I think. We want something a little more, we want it to be trendy. So, ooh, maybe brother.
Ooh.
Maybe, do we have any more weights? I would go in and let's see, find more and get a little bit of a heavier weight of brother. Sorry if all the scrolling is like hurting people's eyes.
It's part of the game.
Again, we have the wavy gravy icon. I could click on that and show similar.
Mm-hmm.
I think that medium works. So I'm just gonna activate that. So this is such a friendly coffee place. I just can't get over it. I just want to go in there. But Sylvia is asking, does anyone know the brand intention from this brand? So I think that we kind of did this the opposite way of not starting the right way, where usually you start, you say, I want to come up with words that describe my brand and, have columns of words and intentions and think about what icons and fonts could fit that. I just wanted to show you how you can start really quickly if you already have your idea. And our idea of what the intention is for this brand is to be friendly, approachable, but also trendy. It's like a neighborhood cafe, and we could spend
not
a lot more time. But
yeah, like this doesn't feel rural friendly. This feels like city friendly.
Yes.
Yeah.
When I say neighborhood, I was thinking city, but I didn't specify. So that's good to say.
Yeah. So like city friendly, I think is the intention.
Yes. So I'm going to go back. I'm going to click here and see, did we get the medium? Didn't come through yet. But that's kind of how I would go about that one. And then we can just do like one more quick one with this E. What will happen if we are not using sans? We're using maybe that.
We're going slab serif?
We're going very friendly.
And that looks like a coffee bean.
It does look like a coffee bean.
I think
Allison says, yeah. I think it could be rural friendly too.
I think you could create outlines of that E and tweak it even more to make it look more like a coffee bean and an E.
Yes. So let's just quickly show. Okay. So Brie, serif. I'm just quickly finding another font that's a little less attention grabbing for the parts around it. And then let's say I'm going to modify this E. So I'm just going to create outlines, which is totally fine to do. Now this is just artwork that I can manipulate however I want. So at that point, maybe I would make the crossbar of the E curved, like more like, whoa. more like this,
Yeah.
but the coffee bean has this curved part. So I would add points. Sorry, I'm really bad at scrolling.
I think I think we were zooming there.
I don't know what I'm doing anymore.
You're doing great. Um,
So
yeah, let's see what it
maybe we
looks like
would
curved.
need to add anchors. I have so much to do.
In so little time.
I know.
But I
I'm
can already see
adding
it.
anchors. It's not going to be very easy to do right now, but let's see what we can do in like 1 minute. I don't know why, sometimes they just go crazy.
I'm already seeing it come together. Like it already looks more like a coffee bean to me.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, it's not
Let's
there
add
yet,
a
but you know what I
couple
mean? Like
points here.
I can see where you're headed.
It's something. It's something. Or
Okay,
you could start with a bean and then make it an E.
it would
Maybe that's a good.
require some more tweaks, but I think the idea is worth finishing, you know? There's something
Yeah.
there for sure.
There's something happening. Something's brewing, I would say. Sylvia said it's shaping up. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's say we would do that. That's just to show you like you can totally take a font, convert a part of it to outlines, and make something more custom, especially for logos. That is very commonly done. That fonts are modified to look better for a logo. And what I would do for this one here is find the same font in Illustrator, which was Westgate, and just go in and create that icon again using vectors, create that coffee cup, and change those steam icons to the S's from Westgate. Just convert that to outlines, use that. And I think we could also get a really great logo from that too. So that was a great exercise in just coming up with a quick idea.
Yeah, and also the kind of style that you're going for can totally change the approach in terms of font choice, right? So if you're just using a monogram or a duogram, as I like to call them, then you
A
might be
quattrogram.
you might be way more particular about the typeface and it having a lot more character, right? Or looking very standing out a lot. But then, of
Yeah.
course, if you're doing just a word mark, then you could choose something totally different, but you could also combine the two, right? And yeah, so basically the style of the logo will also determine what kind of type you need to find, I think.
Yes, for sure. And then here, look, it's so easy. I just convert this to outlines. And then I have this, and I can just make little things out of it. And then when I make my little coffee cup, it'll be all ready.
Yeah.
All right. I wish I had more time to do this.
Yeah, we were just getting something nailed down, but fantastic. I hope everyone got some cool ideas from this. If anyone has any last minute questions, definitely let us know. And if you enjoyed this, follow us on Behance. We announce all episodes on Behance at Adobe Fonts. And you can message us there as well and let us know what you'd like to see in future episodes. If you found this helpful, things like that. We love the feedback. So that would be fantastic. And you can also go to our adobefonts.uservoice.com if you're interested in giving us ideas about what we can do with Adobe Fonts, the service, in the future. Our product teams are watching that all the time, and so your ideas definitely have an impact on the discussions we have internally about what we want to do next. And then finally, I just wanted to mention again, we have that user research going on. It'll be a small user research project, but if you're interested in that, Cody, if you would post that one more time. That's just a brief survey to see if you're interested and want to participate in that. And if so, we would love to have you. So thank you everybody for joining. Ari, that was fantastic. And yeah,
Thanks, everyone.
We'll see you next time. Thanks for joining the Adobe Font Show. Bye, everybody.
Bye. See you soon.